players that, you know, aren't trying to macro the most effectively. But anyway, you know, his warp gates are all done right now, are all ready to be used, but he's not warping anything in, which is a little bit of, I mean, he's warping things in a little bit of time, but his money's just really low. He still doesn't have any guys here, and he's only got, let's see, unit-wise, he's only got 22 workers. So I really don't like what this strategy. I feel like there's a little bit of an issue here. He probably should snipe out that Hydralisk Den, because that would go a long way, and there we go, in preventing reinforcements. There we are. We'll look to see another Hydrogen get there. Now, I really don't like the placement of that. Why is he not doing that, like, right there? I mean, in the safest spot. But he broke down the rocks here to get in here and then threw a force field down. It's interesting how the rocks block a place that actually has a single, like, force field like that size place. But I would actually say, even though he's literally going through and just taking out this natural, that it feels to me like Haypro is actually in a good spot, just because he's got a high yield expansion that hasn't been scouted yet. He did lose this, but he didn't really lose any workers. He'll be able to rebuild that. And with the Hydras out, it's going to be really effective against this 5-gate +1 strategy. Especially with all this creep spread, there's not even any detectors. I might actually be interested in seeing him. Well, he needs to pull those drones back. There's no real need to push him like that once these circlings start flooding in. I would like to see maybe a Roach Warren get thrown down with all these Zealots, and the +1 attack upgrade really oh, this is bad. He needs to have better control on these drones. He also needs a Hydralisk Den that isn't in such a shitty position. He's going to lose it again. Oh, man. Yeah, that is a little bit of panic mode, though. I don't know why he built Zerglings here. Probably just because he has both the hatcheries, or the lair and the hatchery, on the same control group, which I don't necessarily do all the time, because that can be a pain. It's nice to know where your units are going to be popping out, but it is a fairly large amount of macro to deal with. So with these Zerglings and the few Hydras up on the high ground, he's actually not going to really be that worried. Wow, there's a lot of drones that he just... I guess, no, those weren't drones that he made. He just pulled them off. Yeah, just to deal with this, as long as the Zerglings can get in front of those Zealots and take the brunt of the damage, these Hydras are going to be able to eat through this army, which is really going to allow him to defend this. So as long as Hasu continues to push here and doesn't realize that there's this high yield over here, he's going to be okay, although I think he realizes there's too many forces for Haypro. He has to have some other kind of expansion, and very intelligently is going to be moving on the way down here. Probably was alerted to the fact that there was an expansion whenever Zerglings came running out of here, so he is going to end up losing this, but that is going to allow him to take his hatchery down here again, and also macro up a fair number of armies, or a fair number of units. Little sentry's going to get warped in at this forward pylon position and then just retreat home, because that would be dangerous. Little run by of the forces to see exactly how many drones he had at that place, see how much money he had banked up. Little things like that are relatively useful. Don't be tempted to respawn drones here to expand there. Probably not the best idea once you've thrown down this. I'm always tempted to do stuff like that. Looks like he's gonna have to cancel this expo because this force is just too strong. Yeah. So I would say actually now Hasu is back in a commanding lead, even though he's really almost mined out at his main. He's just now got his second gas going. He's only got 15 drones mining minerals, and he's 5 racks. Ooh, never mind. That's a lot of Hydralisks. That production cycle of Hydralisks, just based off the fact that he has more drones, he's got a better economy on one base than the Protoss player. So that's interesting. Excuse me, I have a little bit of a cold this morning. So lots of Hydralisks. I would like to see that +1 armor upgrade go down, especially considering he has so much gas right now. He really could afford to throw down that upgrade, and that would help his Zerglings out immensely. Looks as though these Speedlings have taken this down, so he's preparing himself to really be able to defend, or to attack this. And see, the problem here is the Protoss player is really committed to trying to win or cripple his opponent with this big early force, and the economy of the Zerg player, while it's been evened out, the army is actually kind of evening out as well, and an even army, even income Protoss versus even army income Zerg usually favors the Protoss player, but whenever it's gateway units that are their only upgrade is +1 versus Hydralisks, it's actually in the Zerg's favor, I think, because a single Hydralisk is worth more army size wise than any individual Protoss unit, and they are the same food because Hydralisks do so much damage. It looks as though Haypro is going to try and move these spine crawlers up. This is really the position that you want to defend. It's a little bit wider, but if you get a nice concave of spine crawlers and forces, then if they come in here, you can just move these forces to here to make yourself a nice little concave. If they come in here, you can just move the forces that are right here to right there to make yourself that nice little concave. And it allows your expo and your natural, or your main and your natural, to be defended very effectively. So it doesn't look like he's making that many more stalkers. Just looks like he's sticking with a lot of zealots. Probably going to see him throw down that. Oh, actually, he's getting out some Colossus, and that is a fairly large number of Colossus. Would like to see that Chrono Boost being used. Yeah, it looks like it is. Really want to see that Thermal Lance. I actually get the Thermal Lance before the second Colossus, just because one Colossus with Thermal Lance is better than 2 without it, and it's actually cheaper than 2 without it by just 100 minerals. But against Hydralisks, which have only 5 range because he hasn't gotten the range upgrade, actually I would say that the 6 range Colossus in twos rather are better than the long range ones, but you really have to assume your opponent is going to get the range on the Hydralisks, and that's just something that is pretty much standard for Zerg, and I think the reason he hasn't gotten it is because he's already lost 2 Hydralisk dens, just now transferring workers. So the Protoss player is actually ahead, and he's starting to pick his economy back up, so he's got a lot of gas mining. Not that many workers, though. He's only got 29 workers, and 12 of them are in gas, so he's only actually really working off of 17 workers on minerals, which is a good number if you're trying to just make Colossus, because 17 minerals, 12 gas is going to give you around 300-200 ratio of minerals to gas, which is all you really need to pump out those Colossus. He's going to be working on that Thermal Lance. It's going to eventually make his army that much more effective. The problem at this moment, though, is that this army is really the only thing between him and defeat, and so in order to, a nice force field's going down to prevent the Hydras from really being able to come around here. Needs to throw down some more force fields. There we are. And now these Hydras are just completely cut off. Oh, there's a little path, little secret way in. Oh, and now those Hydras are trapped. He needs to turn around and take this out. Wow, yeah, this is very, very effective. Just whenever you have this large gateway force, once it gets supported by these Colossus, which just do the damage that's necessary. And I'm really actually impressed with the placement of these force fields and the use of force fields in this area. You tend to think that this section here, once it had the destructible rocks, I mean, it's definitely the back door to the natural, but you can end up, look at the graphics on that, like kind of failed. Little 2 laser beams that don't actually look yellow and bright. No. Well, my point is that he really used this spot to his advantage, not just, knocking it down and running in, but also making units think they could surround and then cutting them off with force fields. It was really effective. So anyway, it looks as though Hasu is actually 3-1, which means he would have won. I don't know, maybe this was a best of 7. There is one more game, and we are going to be going into it momentarily, which we'll be back with in just a moment. So thanks for watching.